here's Brody Brazil.
So my Giants Week in Review video is going to be a little bit different this time around. Instead of focusing on the entire team, I'm going to narrow it down to a single individual. But as for the team, still sub 500, still struggling to win series on a consistent basis, I'm still going to give them until the end of this calendar month, until April, to get back to a level record. I feel like good teams can have a 500 April and then start to take off in May and June and July and develop their calling card, develop the way they win games. We still haven't really seen that on a regular basis for San Francisco. But that's just the team regard. As for that single player, well, it's Jung-Hoo Lee, and I kind of struggled with what to title the subject of this video. The actual title itself, but also kind of the theme of it. Most compelling addition is what I came up with, and that's with full respect to Jordan Hicks, who I think is also in that category, and Nick Ahmed, who is in that category, maybe just in a little bit of a different way. This is the most compelling player the Giants have brought on from last season to this one, and I'll explain why in this video. First, we have to remember how this started. December 12th, 2023, the Giants signed him to a 6-year, $113 million deal, but the investment goes deeper than that. There was also a $5 million signing bonus, and there was also an $18.8 million posting fee to his KBO team. So it was more like the 130 range, the financial commitment that the Giants made. So significant for somebody who, at that time, had never played Major League Baseball. You saw all the right things, but you just kind of wondered, how would it carry over into Major League Baseball? His contract does have an opt-out after 2027, but as for the breakdown by year, $7 million this year, then $16 million, then $22 million for a couple years, then the opt-out, and then $20.5 million for the final 2 seasons. So a significant, I would say, investment by the team in this player. And I think so far, wow, he's returning on value. Now, the Giants as a team are much different than they were last year, but they still seem to be struggling with some offensive inconsistencies. I mean, ask Logan Webb. Every time he starts, still can't get that run support. But there has been one constant in the lineup, and it's right at the top. It's their leadoff hitter. Jung-Hoo Lee had an 11-game hit streak going until yesterday. As I record this, it was snapped on Sunday. During that 11 games, a .354 average, 17 for 48 at the plate. He had a .380 on-base percentage. And I think this is important, too. It's one thing to get on base. It's another thing to be plated. 10 runs scored by Lee in that span. You think about his first 21 Major League games. The team has played 23. He's been in 21 of them. He's got hits in 16 of his first 21 Major League games. Now, I understand how this works for rookies, right? And I'm saying rookies. He's been a professional baseball player before, but new to Major League Baseball, this is always how it works. Hitter comes in, has some success. It might diminish a little bit because pitchers figure out holes in the swing. They figure out the book a little bit on the hitter. But then the hitter comes back and adjusts to Major League Baseball. And it's that cat and mouse game usually for a while until that player is veteran enough to make constant adjustments to kind of elude pitchers. And we figure out who that player and what that player actually is. And I think Jung-Hoo Lee's kind of already gone through that a little bit. Went a couple games in a row without a hit, kind of got it back for this 11-game hit streak. But yeah, I think consistency is the model here. Hits in 16 of his first 21 Major League games. Most of the hits, by the way, are singles. He's got a couple doubles, no triples, and 2 home runs. And it's just the swing for me. It is so intentional. His swing is so calculated yet deliberate. And by the way, I did think about those words in advance. I didn't want to just ad-lib them because I really feel like they apply to his swing. He's such a contact hitter. He puts the ball in play. He literally throws that bat head out there to make contact with the baseball. A lot of times you see guys swinging as hard as they can, or they're seeking a certain pitch, swing and miss, or they're aggressive very too early in the count. Jung-Hoo Lee is just such, like I said, a deliberate, intentional, and calculated hitter up there at the plate with his swing. First off, I think every left-handed batter always has a sweeter looking swing for whatever reason. It's the same thing in basketball. Every left-handed jump shooter, it just looks nice. I mean, ask Will Clark about that. His swing, right? It's just, if he was a right-handed hitter, I don't know if we would like Will Clark's swing. I mean, of course, the results you would, but the beauty of the swing is what I'm saying. It always looks better from the left-hand side. Anyway, point being here, I saw this photo, and it just really, to me, exemplified what I've seen and what I like in him so far at the plate. He's just always up there to make contact. You rarely see him strike out. Bob Melvin talked about that, I think, a week ago. It's like a rare thing to actually see him even swing and miss. Here's the advanced stats. He's got a .398 slugging percentage, and that slugging percentage kind of tells the story. Like I said before, he's not going to leave the yard. He may not hit a ton of triples or even doubles. This is a singles hitter. He's going to find the gap. He's got some wheels. If he can get you to second base, he will. But the most important thing is that he gets on base so that hitters following him can drive him in. He ranks 5th in Major League Baseball in strikeout percentage, only at 9.9%. You obviously want that number to be as low as possible. So it's a rarity that Jung-Hoo Lee strikes out. He's always putting the ball in play, and generally that comes with making productive outs when he does make an out. 5th in Major League Baseball whiff rate percentage at 10.9, so doesn't swing and miss a lot. And when he does make contact, 48.7% hard hit rate. Basically, almost half the baseballs he puts in play qualifies for a hard hit baseball. Deep StatCast information here, but the bottom line is it tells a story. It paints a picture of what he does at the plate. Now, offensively, that's where everybody thought, well, he might struggle facing major league pitching and coming over to the States, and the bat is the average, and the batting average is what's going to change. And it has, obviously. I don't think he was expected to come over here and hit .360 like he was in the KBO. So the offense was the anticipated side to maybe see some conversion rate and how that might dip or struggle. But it really seems like defensively is actually the area where he's still feeling more comfortable and feeling out these major league parks. Again, we're in April. He's on the circuit for the very first time. He's figuring this out, including his own home park. Shadows, depth, perception, playing with other corner outfielders. So I will give him that, but it does seem like defensively that's been an area that he's still working on. Look, I saw him make a great catch over the weekend. I know he's capable of it. All the tools are there. He just seems to be getting a little bit more comfortable out there in the outfield. He also so far carries a +1 fielding run value. What does that mean? Well, that's StatCast's overall metric for capturing a player's measurable defensive performance onto a run-based scale. Essentially, he is one of the better defensive players for the San Francisco Giants. Others include Nick Ahmed. He's a +3 rating. That's one of the better ones in baseball. The highest one is really only a +5, and I think only one player has it. Varsho, I think, has that. Tyro Strada, +1. Patrick Bailey, a +1. Mike Yastrzemski, a +1. So Jung-Hoo Lee joining some of the better defensive Giants players, at least in terms of that stat and that valuation. He's also got a pretty good arm. I mean, as much as we talk about range and the glove and reading baseballs off the bat, 92.9 miles an hour is his arm out there in center field. Again, that was an old school heater. Back in the 90s, 92 miles an hour, 93 would be a fastball. But that ranks 4th among major league center fielders. So he's got an arm. He's a pretty good defensive player, probably only getting better, like I said, in that regard. So for me, already, I mean, we're a couple weeks, a month basically into the season, Jung-Hoo Lee is checking so many boxes. The leadoff hitter, which was an empty spot the Giants really needed. Somebody who puts the ball in play, gets on base to a frequent clip, plays an important defensive position, and not to discount right field or left field. And obviously we know how many left fielders the Giants have had, specifically on opening days in the last, 17, 18 years? But he solidifies an important defensive position out there for you in center field. I say running game, and I know he got thrown out over the weekend trying to steal, and I know he only still has 2 stolen bases total. Both of those, I believe, came in the Tampa series on the road. The point is not stolen bases. I would love to see more stolen bases from Jung-Hoo Lee. I think he's got that capability. I think he can bring that element. I know the Giants as a team don't really run a lot. Last year, the fewest stolen bases in all of baseball, and I think to this year, they were the final team to get their first stolen base of the season. So team-wise, maybe it's not in their DNA. I'd love to see that more swipes from Jung-Hoo Lee, but the point is, I love to see him on base. I know that if he's on second and there's a single to right center field, he's probably going to score on it. That's my point. When he's on base, I like who he is. I like his speed. I like what he brings to the table. And we haven't even really discussed this element yet, but I think this is important, especially for the San Francisco Giants fan base. A player that's fun for fans. In recent years, they didn't really have that as much as the old days, so to speak, in the 2010s and all of the players with personality. And obviously, Jung-Hoo Lee still needs the interpreter to get translated for English. So it's not about really the communication. It's more about the player, the style, rooting for somebody who's brand new here, kind of how they play. This is a player that's interesting, and I think fans probably can't wait to learn even more about Jung-Hoo Lee over time. They already know a little bit, bits and pieces, like his pets and his fashion and his personal life. But I think the story is here that this is another player that fans can rally around. Like I said, the most compelling at the start of this video, like their best addition from last season to this season, but I think also a most interesting player, somebody to rally around, somebody to root for. Yeah, somebody with some personality, even though he doesn't speak the same language as most of the fan base. So bottom line is really enjoying Jung-Hoo Lee. In an offseason of Snell, Chapman, Soler, I don't know that a lot of people saw Jung-Hoo Lee as the standout, at least in this first month so far, but I'm glad he's doing what he's doing. I certainly hope that the others can rise and elevate and kind of join him in that most compelling addition category and conversation. But as for right now, Jung-Hoo Lee is definitely my pick. And again, no disrespect to Jordan Hicks. Love what he's doing. Nick Ahmed is a totally different story and the way they got him and maybe his purpose. But I'm going to give it to Jung-Hoo Lee right now because I think he has been so fun to watch. You made it here to the end of the video. I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll help me and this video and this channel. And I'd love to see you here back every single time. And the only way to make sure that happens in the future is if you go down there right now and hit that subscribe button. Again, I would love to see you back here again next time.